Hello, I'm Joshua Kitts, the director of the Composed Dream Game RPG Marketplace, and I have just unboxed all 43, well, 40, but more about on that later, of the Advanced Adventure line, which has just been printed out. We have added all these as POD. What's more, this is Blackmore Week. I'm going to get this box out of the way so we can enjoy the view a little bit better. Which means for Blackmore Week, leading up to Dave Arneson Game Day on October 1st, everything is 20% off on the marketplace, so you can use coupon code Arneson and check out. So let's have a look at this Advanced Adventures lineup, which is particularly apt for this week that this has just come in. So the Pod Caverns of the Sinister Shroom is the very first advanced adventure released back in 2006. I've done a video on this already. I'll have a link to that. It's wonderful. I love it. I have used it many, many times. This is going to be a quick overview of things. I'm not going to go into depth on any of these. I'll have a few comments here or there. Levels 12 to 15 is about the highest we get in this lineup. Now, length does vary a fair bit. There are 8-page, 16 pages, probably the most common. Number of pages in the lineup. There are some 8-page, I think, but 12. Most common is 16 or 24. The Prison of Menatap is the longest, clocking in about 29 pages of content. Obviously 32 pages printed up. Flaming Footprints of Jenthinda. I am not going to try to pronounce every single one of these. I'll comment here and there with some details as they occur to me. This is mostly just to have a look at the lovely covers, and I'll occasionally flip into an interior shot as well. So a huge array of modules from Expeditious Retreat Press. I, in general, find these absolutely packed with content. This is a longer one again, which I seem to recall having a ton of additional monsters. Almost every book has, wow, yeah, that is a ton of additional monsters. And this is, again, one of the longer ones, coming in at 28 pages. The Lost Keys of Solitude. By Joseph Browning and Susie Yee. Joseph is the owner of Expeditious Retreat Press and contributes fairly regularly. That comes across as quite dark. I believe I was saying pretty much every advanced adventure has at least one new monster, often a new magic item, but some have many, like the one I just showed you. The Lost Keys of Solitude has many, many new monsters. White Dragon Run. I'm going to talk about this briefly. It's a great little starting town and sort of region, and there is a White Dragon Run 2. So we have a hex map of the region. White Dragon Run is there. And sort of, regional, what are you going to encounter if you're exploring? Picking up too well on the camera. But a list of random things that you would encounter, very detailed on the village itself. The characters you would encounter there. There is the Grey Temple and the Forgotten Outpost as well. A couple adventure areas. White Dragon Run 2 has many sort of small adventure areas that you could explore in it. Stone Sky Delve here, number 15, is a tournament module, and which means it has, in fact, from 2010 Gen Con, apparently, it has scoring sheets in it, and of course a set of tournament characters that you would play. So rather than creating your own, you can just grab these tournament characters, and there's, you know, a page with their magic items and gear, and rock with that. One of the ones I don't have would go right here. That's number 16. I may throw something up briefly on screen for that. Frozen Waves of Satsuma. This is because I had a few printed early as the initial test. Has a nice map of a couple ships. All right, I've gone through a stack. I would be going over here. It's a little dark. See if I can make the cover pop a little bit better at least. All right. 3 to 5. 3 to 5 is probably one of the more common levels, but we do get a lot of these 6 to 10s. Folks who are more used to, say, 5e or 3e or 4 are probably, might be a little surprised by the range and the number of adventures and the range in the levels, but that's just a feature of old school gaming. Your levels aren't always consistent, for instance, across classes. In fact, they shouldn't be if everybody has been adventuring together, because the experience awards are different, of course. And the rate of progression is a little different. 6 to 10 adventures for levels 1 to 3 for Stone Pit Crossing. The Heart of Empire, another on the lower end. So this says it's a GaryCon 4 module, which GaryCon tends to celebrate all things old school gaming. I think this may mean... I was thinking maybe this meant it kind of was a tournament module as well. I don't think I've actually looked through this one before, which is nice. Content in all of these modules is very dense, as you have with most kind of old school modules, where they don't spend a lot of time on... I might be putting this wrong. Background or motivations. You get right to the content, the stuff that you need to actually run it. What's there? What's the magic items? What kind of monster is it? And GM can easily add that context for the characters. And easily customize it and flesh it out. The red is very vibrant on this, as fits the title, I would say, of Red Tooth Ridge. The Doom of Red Ruthven is on the shorter end of things, clocking in at 8 pages. It's got Black Troll as the new monster, and I believe this has some giants in it as well. Or at least alludes to giants in the past. A slow level adventure, which I think has, yes, a nice little Hexmac regional exploration map as well, and a town. This has some sort of like ghost dragon in it, I believe, which is quite cool. Maybe it's more like the ghost of a Behir or some other monster. But I think Draculus was a dragon who's now dead. And so we get kind of a haunted lair, the palace beyond. Okay, the Halls of Liveless Shabbath is, again, one of the highest level ones, and it does clock in at, on the longer side, at 24 pages. Has a few new spells. Seems very overexposed. Try to change the camera settings a little bit here. It seemed to be zooming. Okay. Just handling all of this just makes me excited to run some old school gaming. See, it gets you excited too. Now this, I have at least mentioned and covered this in a video before. I'll try to link to it. This is a potential sequel to the Against the Giants series of modules, where the Cloud Giants are behind it all, which ties nicely in with the Cloud Giant that happens to be in the Hill, the first one, the Hill Giant Steading. Again, I'll just link to that. And that's the reason the cover is a little different, because it's an homage to that original cover, those original covers, which had only a single color on them, which I think was a great choice for a design. So this is White Dragon Run 2, which I mentioned earlier. So a whole bunch of small adventures that you could drop around any town, really. But we have the Rainbow in the Dark, and the Ambulatory Tower, and the Sane Hermit. And we have covering some common folk at the White Dragon Run. So a whole bunch of, I believe there is the Temple of the Snake God here. So a whole bunch of content. The Dark Tower of Arkma. Had 2 copies of that one. I moved that to the side. It's by Joseph A. Moore. There's quite a few monsters packed into it, new monsters packed into it as well. A couple copies of The Horror of Mirehurst. I believe this is the only one that specifies just first level, which is interesting. Many of the other ones would say first level through 1 to 3 or something like that. Had a bit of a different map style, which is interesting. Town, hex map, good stuff. We're down to the last few here, the Forgotten Grottos of the Sea Lords, which I think has a bit of, it's more of a traditional delve from the look of it, dungeon delve. There might be at least some water areas, though not super extensive water areas. Now this one, on the other hand, Dead in the Water, does have some underwater adventures to it. And it also has a bunch of different factions on different stranded ships, which is quite intriguing. And the final one, The Warrens of Zagash, number 43. I was curious to double check when this was published, if it's listed here, and it might not be. And it isn't. Intriguing. I know for the last couple years, I don't think they've released any new and the ones in the Advanced Adventure ones. In part, at least, that was because they were very focused on the Halls of Ardenville, which is this huge, massive mega dungeon with almost 1,000 pages of content. So, that big stack of adventure modules, that is the entire Advanced Adventures line, with the exception of Under Shattered Mountain, and I was going to try to pull out the Pod Caverns of the Sinister Shroom. It's probably right at the bottom of that. There are 2 sequels to the Pod Caverns of the Sinister Shroom, which are Down the Shadow Vein and The Mouth of the Shadow Vein. 2 great sort of hex crawly with point of interests Underdark exploration modules. They're very interesting. I'll probably do a future video on those. All right. Well, I hope that piqued your interest, that you might pick up some of these, either print on demand or PDF, and run some old school adventures. Once again, right now, this is Dave Arneson's, we're leading up to Dave Arneson Game Day, and this is Blackmore Week, so you can use coupon code Arneson on checkout on the Composed Dream Game Marketplace and get 20% off. This is the only sale a site-wide sale we run. We run this once a year. All right. That's all for me. Good gaming.